this is we brought it on the reef in Mississippi. I know Alabama is putting out crazy reefs. They have an inshore reef that is unbelievable.
That are being manufactured here, right?
Correct.
A lot
like in Gulfport.
Right.
And most of them are right there in Back Bay. And
Right.
they're just loading them on barges and bringing them over there. Mm-hmm. What is the main reason that's holding Mississippi up on the man-made reef
deployment?
Yeah.
There's a lot of permits.
Is it?
It's getting permits. So I know. Okay. So I worked for DMR.
Okay.
I worked in shrimp and crab, but it's a small enough organization that you kind of help everybody.
Right.
So they were having a lot of issues, I think, federally getting the permits to put stuff out. Whereas here, I know Alabama's got a program where like you can buy material.
Right.
They put it out, and that is your number. We don't have that program.
Okay. How does one go about getting that?
I was going to say that's a tough answer. And again, I know you don't make the rules.
Right.
You're not even there anymore. You've went on to NOAA. But it's like when a rec guy hears that, or even I guess on the commercial side hears that, it's like, I don't want to hear that it's a paperwork problem, right? Like I want to know that that to me is not a real problem. That's a fixable problem.
Yes.
that guys on our end shouldn't have to deal with. That bureaucratic stuff should be streamlined, right?
And Alabama should never beat Mississippi in anything,
except for football.
If we're behind Alabama, something's wrong.
Yeah. So you're looking. I came from Florida, so there's even harder to get reefs out there.
Okay.
Because there's a lot more like environmental groups. There's a lot more like
pristine
NGOs,
waters.
Pristine waters, and
I would think that reefs and environmentalists would go hand in hand. No,
we don't know. So there's not a paper out there that says artificial reefs are great.
Okay.
They're helping a population.
Okay.
There's a lot of unknown and uncertainty to it still. Like Japan does a lot of studies on artificial reefs. They build artificial reefs specifically for a species.
Okay.
They've got like grouper hotels and lobster hotels. We here, I don't know if we've ever like really like, look, this is what works the best versus like, we just take a bunch of stuff and throw it out there. I have seen some stuff in the Gulf of Mexico, washing machines. Mm-hmm. The best thing, honestly, is a chicken coop.
Yeah. Well, see, our buddies fish in Florida and Alabama, chicken coops, that's what they would buy, and they would make their money off of the coops. I mean, they would call them the coops, and that's where their numbers would be.
Yeah. All these are illegal.
Correct.
They're not like a known reef. They're not authorized. Like, they're going out in the dead of night and taking their chicken coop out.
Correct.
But, like, so once I left grad school, I went and worked with Florida with their snapper grouper program doing offshore. So we used to do like hook and line, which we found out wasn't actually a really good way to study fish. We were doing side scan sonar. They've mapped out, I think, a pretty high amount of what the Gulf of Mexico looks like because it's also a federal program.
Right.
And then we had these stereo cameras. So we would find habitat and we would drop a camera pod, and it could film the fish. It can take measurements.
Okay.
So we could see what habitats were actually holding fish. Is it actually holding? You go over a hook and line.
They may not be biting.
They could be on the other side of the reef. Right. You might not be on it.
And it's not like you're more experienced. We did studies where we had like an experienced fisherman with scientists. We had interns drop, and there was no, like, that fisherman wasn't doing better.
No.
Right. How much foot of water are we talking here for that particular instance you're referring to?
We were going from just offshore to 180 meters.
So that's
pretty deep.
450.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
Pretty deep.
I was going to say, because why not just throw a dive guy overboard and let him?
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. That's great.
That's too deep.
Diving, they do diving reef assessments.
Right.
Yeah.
But like,
then you know.
Yeah, you got eyes on it.
If you can see, if the clarity's there.
But the problem of putting a diver in, most divers scare the fish. Whereas the pod would be just like, if this is a pyramid, you drop the pod over here, and it can see.
We talking about like a GoPro, a bunch of or like an underwater camera or something like that. Okay.
Yes. It was incredible, and you could watch behaviors. Like, we saw groupers, doing their grouper thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Eating everything inside.
Red groupers, just like so cool.
Right.
Those huge Itohara Goliath groupers.
Goliath, yeah.
Just, oh my goodness, it was incredible to watch. And this is now technology that we can put out there. We're not disturbing the fish. We're not removing them for science. Mm-hmm. That we can measure fish, see the number, see what habitat type is actually working.
It kind of reminds me of what we were talking about earlier about, did you say 50 years to figure out that the sharks like to eat the turtles? You know, it's like you're saying there's no papers out there. There's no science that says reefs are definitely good.
Yeah.
But it's like there's a shit ton of like anecdotal evidence.
Yeah.
You're even speaking to it yourself.
So
that it helps.
I will get to that.
Okay.
So watching all this stuff. So if you look at a fish's, let's say American red snapper, we call them ARS.
Mm-hmm.
They are in the bay systems, in the seagrasses when they're
juveniles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then they move out to the next reef, and then the next reef, and then out and out until they're out and like they're supposed to be in deep water.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to those deep water sites, these are like, I've never seen snapper look like dinosaurs. Huge snappers.
Yeah, just got barnacles growing all over them.
Yeah,
big,
they got
nasty,
that dinosaur face.
gnarly looking fish.
They're supposed to move like that.
So the bigger they get, the deeper they go.
They're supposed
to. Because they can survive, right? They can defend themselves.
Yeah. What happens when you drop a bunch of habitat now in the center? Why would they leave?
You're saying they do, or
there's some theories that they're staying. You know, the smaller, you're not seeing the big dinosaurs anymore.
Okay.
Because they're not moving out.
Okay.
They're just staying here in a very populated area. The more, put a fish tank and you put a bunch of fish in there, they're not going to grow that big.
I got you. Okay.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I understand.
I don't have the answer.
No. And that's the part about science, because you're right. Just because there's fish on a reef
doesn't mean
the bigger global
good.
picture is not maybe better for the environment or the habitat.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, like, as the devil's